Hello everybody, John Felt here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook weather briefing for the last day of May, May 31st, 2025. It's been a pretty active May across the nation. I'll be putting out some statistics on that over the next week. But overall, it looks like another active week, but not as active as we've seen perhaps the last couple weeks. So let's start off by taking a look at the impacts this week, and it looks like right here in the central part of the U.S. is the most active weather like we've seen now for the last couple weeks. Some heavy rain, that's in green, some severe weather in the yellow, and continued very hot temperatures, 100 degrees plus over South Texas. Here's our severe storm activity this week. Now we also have an air quality issue over the upper Midwest and parts of the Great Lakes. Now, as far as the action spots last week, quite a bit of hail in the central and southern plains and lots of severe storm activity as far as high winds over the eastern U.S. We also had tornadoes dotted in there. Look at this. I'm in Iowa. We had a couple here down in the south and even some tornadoes down in Florida. Let's take a look at the East Coast too. We also had some tornadoes. Now you might have heard about some wildfire smoke. Canada has been very hot. Matter of fact, if you take a look at this here, it's 10 to 20 degrees hotter than normal. So hot and dry conditions led to the formation of wildfires. We also have active wildfires in Minnesota. And all that smoke is sort of being transported by the jet stream down like this. So we're getting unhealthy air in these areas shaded in here, or we're getting sort of a milky white sky with that smoke. Okay, so we take a look at the rain last week, and the heaviest rain was along the southern tier of the U.S., Texas, parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, into the southeast U.S., Mississippi, Alabama, and then even along the east coast, some scattered heavy rain. The western U.S. was almost bone dry. The upper Midwest, not too much as well, pretty dry. So we had big contrasts in temperature. Anything in blue averaged 6 to 10 degrees below normal, so it's cool weather. Matter of fact, I was talking to a local farmer and saying how, he was telling me how, longtime farmer, he was telling me how unusual this spring has been in the Midwest because the morning lows have been so cool, and that's been caused some problems with germination and growth of early season crops. And the western U.S., unusually hot conditions. And if we look at the hottest temperatures of the week, anytime we see this greens and blues, that's depending on the time of year, but that's this time of year, that's sort of pleasant conditions, 70s, and even cooler in the blue. The hottest temperatures here, parts of Texas, 90s and 100, as well as the southwest U.S. Okay, so we take a look at the dew point. One of the reasons that low temperatures have been dropping so low is because we just have not gotten really a significant dew point or low-level moisture pushing up into the Midwest, keeping those lows up there. Dew points 40s and 50s, that's for getting into almost the summer months. That's very dry conditions. But down in the south, very moist as you'd expect. Now, as far as rivers go, it looks pretty quiet. Even the lower Mississippi that has been running on the high side now is getting back to normal. So overall, some high spots here and there, and we'll continue to get that. High within bank is yellow. Minor flooding is orange. I don't see any moderate flooding. So overall, in pretty good shape as far as rivers go. Okay, so here's the jet stream, and I wanted to show you here. Look at the jet stream here. That's what's bringing that smoke down from Canada. But we either have high pressure, and that's associated with hot weather, or we have this big area of low pressure, and that's associated with cooler weather. And by the middle of the week, what we have here is we begin to bring a dip in the jet stream over the central part of the U.S. The heat pushes east, the heat's off to the west, and cooler weather moves into the central U.S. So we take a look at the 5-day chunks here, and let's sort of maybe start with, these are records tomorrow, or that's today, but take a look at this right here in the center of the U.S. with that low. That's where we have below normal temperatures, and those push off here. So where's the warm weather? That's the western U.S. here. It looks extremely warm, well above normal, right through the middle part of June. And right here in the central part of the U.S., I guess if I had to outline it, I might go something like this. That looks like the area that could sort of have lagging temperatures and remain cooler than normal. Now you can see the temperature progression. We start the week this weekend with 80s across large parts of the middle part of the nation, even warmer in the west. But by Tuesday, that upper area of low pressure pushes that warmer area to the south. It stays in the south and lingers in the east. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, that was temperature. Let's talk about rainfall. And this is sort of a coarse satellite observation of soil moisture. And areas in blue do not need more rain. They're saturated. Areas in red do need more rain. So keep that in mind as we look at the rainfall forecast this week. And we're looking at right here, central Oklahoma, and that's been wet. So that does not need more rain. And it looks like Oklahoma, southeast Kansas, another area that's been wet, and up into western Missouri, another area that's a little bit more mixed as far as precipitation. But heavy rain again in Oklahoma, and the upper Midwest, which has been sort of variable. Let's take a look at that. So some areas have been wet, some areas dry. But again, it looks like for the most part the rain is falling this week in areas where we don't need it as much. On the other hand, the southeast, which has been very wet, looks like it's going to dry out. And Florida also looks quite wet, and that's an area that needs rain. Let's take a look at the last 30 days just for sort of big trends here. The heaviest rain in the last 30 days has been in this area right in here. Right in there. That's where the heaviest rain has been the last 30 days. Okay, so let's look at the extended, just sort of the big picture, the planning. This is 8 to 14 day. Look at the above normal temperatures. Remember that low in this area and ridges of high pressure. So unusually warm for the next 2 weeks in the west. Unusually warm for the next 2 weeks in the far south Texas. Unusually warm the next 2 weeks on the east coast in Florida. And in the central part of the U.S., below normal temperatures. And here's weeks 3 and 4. So western U.S., we're looking at, that could be a month-long hot spell, and that's going to sort of cause problems with the drought. I'm going to put out an update on the drought this week, so I'll be talking about that in more detail. Here's our rain for the next for week 2, and you can sort of see here where we expect more rain. Does not look bone dry. It looks like a fairly widespread area of at least some rain. That's this week's briefing. I hope you have a great week as we get into the first week of summer this week. Take care.